y'all, it's Katie and welcome back to my channel, Katie Garrison Fitness. Today I'll be talking with y'all about my ACL journey, what that looked like with my injury, how the surgery went post-op, and how the recovery has been even up until this point. So anywho, come with me as we go on my ACL journey. We'll see how this goes. Tanner is notorious for knocking over coffee and spilling it all over people, so I'm gonna be as careful as possible since he's in my lap. So I know I've mentioned it in a couple of videos now that I have an ACL injury, but I haven't gone into any depth with that, so I thought I would in this video today. So to preface this video a little bit, I'm talking specifically about what happened with my knee in my ACL journey, and what that looked like with my recovery and everything. And recovery time, surgery options, everything looks different for different people and different circumstances. So just because I had a certain experience with my ACL injury doesn't mean that's a blanket across the board for everybody dealing with this. This is just what happened with me. So I actually already filmed this video and I really didn't like it. I normally don't refilm videos just because I'm new to YouTube. I'm trying to learn my editing style, learn how to shoot a video, and I don't want to constantly be deleting videos and just having my perfectionist self come out in that way. So anyway, it was a little odd for me to actually not post a video that I filmed a couple weeks back, but it really just did not portray properly what I wanted to tell y'all in this video. So I kind of felt like a little robot just rambling off a ton of different facts about my ACL, and that's not what I wanted to sound like in this video. I wanted to be a little bit more personal and talk to y'all a little bit more casually here. So that's why I'm also not at my desk. I am just kind of sitting in my living room, chilling with Tanner, grab myself a cup of coffee, and let's storytell. So first off, number one here, I should have known better. This was a huge learning experience, a very expensive learning experience, but a very valuable one to listen to my body, because I had already done several HIIT workouts that week and it should have been an obvious red flag to me. There was one more HIIT class that I was teaching on Friday, but I was going to tone it back, but I thought just this one set, let's push myself, let's go a little harder, I'll do a little bit faster on my jumping. I was doing some lateral box jumps and that's when it happened. So I should have listened to my body and I should have known that was not in the cards for the day, but I pushed myself past that limit, and when you push yourself past your limits, bad things can happen sometimes. It just happened to turn out bad in my case. So the injury itself happened on June 17th, 2022. It was a Friday. When the injury happened, I heard a loud pop, and it's as if my tibia and my femur, it's as if my tibia had gone and externally rotated and kind of popped back into place. So it was the weirdest sensation, and then instantly just a searing pain for about 60 seconds, and then it was just gone. So immediately after, we put ice on it, there was some swelling. I couldn't bear weight for a few hours, but by the end of the day, I was putting partial weight back on it. And within a few days, I was putting full weight back on the leg. So I just thought with the swelling that it was a bad sprain, maybe I had tweaked it somehow. I didn't think it was something as serious as it was.
So I tried out a couple of braces, and this one's just a compression sleeve. It helped reduce the swelling, but it didn't give me support. So I moved on to another type of brace. This one had a little bit of more support with uprights on the sides, and it helped compress as well as support the joint.
But I went to my primary care anyway. We did an x-ray, it ended up clear, nothing crazy there. And they told me I could opt into an MRI if I wanted it. So it was optional and I took it. Thank the Lord I did. The MRI showed that I had completely torn my ACL, and I also had a tear in my medial meniscus, which is on the inside of the knee. And with a partially torn ACL, you don't necessarily have to have surgery, but with a completely torn ACL, it will never mend itself. You have to have surgery in that case. So I did. From injury to surgery, there was a full 6 weeks where I was kind of in this limbo. I had a swollen knee, couldn't do a whole lot of stuff, but I knew surgery was on the schedule, and I just had to live with it for 6 weeks. Ugh. So that 6 weeks definitely taught me patience. My knee started to feel better actually after a couple weeks and started to go down with the swelling. I thought my knee was getting better, and then the MRI came along and obviously things weren't getting better. So after 6 weeks, I finally had my surgery on July 28th, 2022, and it went super smoothly. I made sure to do my research, and I found a great orthopedic sports medicine doctor who performed the surgery, and it went by flawlessly. They explained the whole process to me. For sake of time and details, I'm not gonna go into all of that here, But I will go ahead and put up some photos of what the inside of my knee looks like, because they stuck a camera in there and took some photos, and they sent me home with the photos. So I am a muscle nerd, and I think these are fascinating, because how often do you get to look inside your knee? It's cool. So it was an outpatient procedure, and they sent me home with this big old brace that I put on. And I initially had bandages around it, and it was locked in place. The brace that they sent me home with could lock at the knee to where you couldn't bend it whatsoever. And I was required to keep that knee locked a full 6 weeks after surgery. They just wanted my knee immobilized under weight. So when I was specifically walking around the house, I had to have it locked in place on my leg. And of course, at first I was using crutches as well. I used crutches for the first full month after surgery. Into the last week or so of that month, I was able to wean off of one of the crutches and just use one to get around the house. And eventually through physical therapy and things, I was able to wean off both of them after that month marker. But it took me that full first month to really get my feet back under me. So it turns out July, August, September are my husband's busy seasons with work, and he works very long hours that time of year. So during that interval, while I was alone at the house and I couldn't really do a whole lot, I had several family members that came in and stayed with me and were able to help take care of me during that time when he was away. So that was a huge blessing as well. So during that whole first month, I basically was couch bound. I really couldn't do a whole lot. The only time I left the house was to go to physical therapy, and I did that 3 times a week. And during the day, the super fun CPM got to keep me company. A CPM stands for continuous passive motion. And basically this is just a machine where you put your leg inside and it bends your knee for you, where you're not having to engage your muscles yourself. And it's a way to stretch that knee and get the joint more mobile. So that in itself wasn't too bad, but I had to do it 3 times a day for 2 hours each time. So I was on that machine for a full 6 hours for like 3 weeks. It was miserable, honestly. So it was fine for the first week, but then after the second week, it really got annoying and tiring, and it was kind of tweaking my low back and hips too, because it kind of set one hip above the other. So it was just not a fun time after the first week. But I am super appreciative that I had it, because it was able to increase my range of motion from 30 degrees to 90 degrees within 3 weeks. And having that immediately after surgery, where I was able to get that mobility back in my knee initially, was very valuable. So I am super appreciative for it. I'm glad I did it. It was just not fun while I was doing it. So after that first 4 weeks where I had my brace locked, once I got weaned off my crutches, I still had the brace locked for another 2 weeks until that 6-week marker. But I was able to return to the gym at that point. I probably could have gone back to the gym a little sooner, but my personal goal and rule for myself was to be off the crutches completely before I went back to personal training. So at that point, I was able to go back to doing upper body workouts at the gym. I did lots and lots of upper body workouts at the gym over the next couple months. It was great. Definitely a great time to focus on upper while I was isolating and protecting the lower body there. But I was also able to start back with specific clients during that period when the brace was still locked. I only worked with clients who knew their form very well and were able to perform exercises without me having to demonstrate them first. So I wasn't taking on any new clientele, and I wasn't working with my more beginner clientele. This was just my advanced exercisers that I had been with for a while, I was comfortable with, they were confident in their movements. I was able to at least get back to working a little bit here and there, and then slowly add on those new clients once my brace got unlocked. So my first big milestone after the surgery was obviously losing the crutches, being more independent. That was phenomenal. The second big milestone after the surgery was being able to unlock that brace again and bend my knee while walking. I had been so used to peg legging that one leg that it was kind of funny when I unlocked it. It was like, whoa, what's happening? I have to bend this knee again. So getting it back into bending and regular walking gait was kind of interesting at first, but obviously we got there. So at that point, I was also cleared to stretch past 90 degrees with my knee because my meniscus was healed up enough. And from there, I was able to start doing resistance exercises, bending until I reached 90 degrees. So that meant the upper portion of a squat. I was able to start some mini little lunges, different movements like that, step ups, that would help start strengthening my quad again, because when you sit on your butt, don't do anything, atrophy detraining does happen. And my quad and my left side did lose quite a bit of muscle mass. And even now, about 7 months post-op while I'm filming this, my left quad is still a little bit smaller than my right, just because it's still regaining strength and I'm still trying to build back the muscle that I lost. And while it's similar, it's very close now. If nobody really knew that I had the surgery, they might not be able to tell anymore. I can definitely still tell, and I can definitely tell, I still favor one side over the other. And at the 6-week mark as well, I started using some Mederma scar cream on my knee. There were 5 incision points that were actually really small because it was a laparoscopic surgery. There was only 1 incision that was about 1 inch, and that was the biggest one out of all of them. I've been using that scar cream on there for several months now, and I've seen a really good improvement with it. That one larger scar is obviously a little bit more noticeable, but that was when I started implementing that as well at the 6-week point. So my next big milestone was the 12-week follow-up, and at that point I was cleared to do resistance training past 90 degrees, meaning I could go into a full squat depth, I could go and increase my range of motion and work a little bit deeper into my knees. And I was also able to start increasing a little bit more weight on things as well. So that was a really fun point as well because I didn't have any more range of motion restrictions and I could continue trying to stretch that knee and get it all the way back to where it was. So at the 12-week mark, I still had limited range of motion on my knee. I still couldn't kick my heel all the way to my butt. And this was also a pretty exciting phase too because I started weaning off the brace at home. I still had that big old brace on, but I got to slowly start taking it off at home, getting more confident, trusting my knee again to support myself. And then once I was confident there, at the 12-week mark, I was able to start weaning off of it in public too. So I started going to therapy and they started taking my brace away from me and having me doing more independent exercises. And then that slowly started to translate into daily life activities too, out and about. And then if we fast forward a little bit to about 3 months post-op, that's when I started to feel a lot more like myself again. I was able to still be able to do more in daily life. And also at that 3-month mark, I was cleared to do some light jogging in those forward motions. So that would not include any kind of lateral or rotational motions. I'm still technically not cleared for those, but just jogging in a straight line going forwards. And the jogging is important because that starts to teach my knee to take impact again with a little bit more force in the strides. So it was really great and fun because I was able to do more exercises and start to work more at the gym, but it was also a little weird in the way that the emotions kind of hit me at that 3-month mark. So up until this point in my recovery, I had been just kind of rolling with the punches and been taking it really well. And I guess my emotions had not caught up with me yet because I'm the kind of person that definitely bottles everything in and then it kind of comes out in a flood. And so that's what happened at the 3-month mark. I have never been diagnosed with depression, but I can definitely tell that this was one period in time where I did experience a little bit more melancholy and it was just a little bit harder to function and my mental state really was not great during that time period. And I never really talked about it with anyone. I've only mentioned this to 2 people in the past before, but it was a big part of my recovery. And so I did want to mention it here and kind of lay it all out on the table for y'all. Because when a big aspect of your life, like your livelihood, your social, your mobility, and your ability to be independent is taken away from you, that does a lot to you psychologically as well. And so every case is different. Every person who deals with an injury of this magnitude is different. But at the same time, it is eye-opening, and it was a really eye-opening experience for me working with individuals who have come out of physical therapy and working with individuals who have physical limitations and training them in the gym. It has been definitely a great experience in that regard because being able to feel just a little fraction of what they might experience and how I can help them and how I can better relate to them in that way. That was definitely not my favorite period of time throughout my recovery, but I think it was also another very valuable period of time in my recovery process. And I think a great takeaway from that is that physical health is just as important as mental health, and they both go hand in hand and work together. And then if we fast forward a little bit, at the 6-month mark, I was cleared for static, controlled, small jumps. So I'm able to jump with both feet and land in the same position. Not crazy, nothing super flashy or anything like that, but it's still exciting because I'm able to jump again. And I was able to finally get my athletic brace in. One reason I kind of postponed creating this video was because I was waiting on my brace to come in, and it took forever to get in from the consultation to the actual fitting. So anyway, I finally have it now. I've had it for about 2 weeks, and it is pretty great. I really enjoy it. It really holds my knee in place, and it has metal uprights on the sides of the knee that help protect the joint from any kind of rotational movement or lateral deviation. So it's pretty great. So I technically have to wear the brace for any kind of risky motions at the knee. So that includes any kind of lateral, rotational motions, more athletic movements. I have to wear it during a lot of activities now. I'll have to wear it for kind of the indefinite future as well, because this knee will always be weaker than the other knee, and the ligaments in that knee will always be more prone to injury. So anytime I ever go downhill skiing, anytime I get on the ice again, and I mentioned that in my first video, but I used to be a figure skater. I did that for about 12 years, and I still love to get on the ice once in a while just to get my ice legs back underneath me and do a few spins, jumps here and there, and I try to remember my program and everything. But anyway, I'm still not cleared for the ice yet. That will happen at the 9-month mark, where I'll be cleared to do basic footwork and any kind of basic skating, still no jumping. Jumping I'll be cleared for at 12 months. So I can not wait until I can get back on the ice again. I am literally counting the days down, and I have it marked on my calendar the day I'm gonna go to the rink for the first time. Super stoked, because I just have the biggest itch to get on the ice again. So I am pretty much back to normal, especially with my daily life, my daily routines. There's only one group class that I am not cleared to teach yet, and that is my HIIT class. It's called Grit by Les Mills, and I still cannot teach that class because I cannot demonstrate every single exercise we do. At the 9 or 12-month mark, I'm gonna start looking at maybe implementing those again into my routine, but just taking a step back and taking it easy, demonstrating those lower intensity options. But basically, I'm back to normal, I'm back to training, I'm back to all my other group class formats. I even competed in a DECA event last weekend, the DECA Strong event. I was still able to do really well overall, even with a bum knee. So I think my total recovery was a little bit shorter than most. Most people say an ACL recovery takes from 6 to 10 months to recover, and I'm right at that 7-month mark as I'm filming this. So I feel like I am pretty much almost back. I'm maybe like 90-95% back. Obviously, I'm still not squatting what I used to. I'm still not doing lunges like I used to, but those motions will come back with time and as I continue to strengthen that quad back up. It's been a wild 7 months, but that is basically my ACL journey. And a little fun fact about my knee, I guess, is that on the left side of my knee, not where the incisions were, there's still like a little numb area where I can't feel the skin right there. And it's really weird and annoying, especially when I'm shaving. Fun fact, just so you know. So if you have any questions about my journey, about my surgery, any kind of details, go ahead and post those in the comments below. Or if you've been through an ACL journey yourself, you can share that in the comments as well. Or if you're dealing with an ACL injury right now, this was just my journey. Your journey might be a little bit different than mine, and that's okay. Our bodies heal at different rates, and I know it's hard to see up front, but you will get there and you'll get through this. One last fun fact about my knee. So I've always heard the adage that, people who have arthritis and other joint injuries can feel the weather. You really can. I can tell exactly when a cold front is coming through because my knee will kind of stiffen up and tighten up, and it's pretty uncomfortable. So don't ever dock it when somebody tells you that, because it's totally true. And anywho, thanks for coming along on my journey. I'll see y'all later. Bye.